Hey, everybody, welcome to the Hot Pursuit podcast. I'm Roy Harmon, and today we're joined by Brad Smith, an automation specialist and the founder of Automation Links. Thanks for joining us, Brad.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Roy. Appreciate it. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely. Brad is going to share with us the framework behind his perfect email. And this is an email that averages 60 to 80% open rate and has driven 30% more sales for the businesses who have used it. Pretty excited about that. I think that'll come in handy for sure. Before we get into that, can you share a bit about your journey into digital marketing and uh, what led you to specialize in email marketing and automation?
Yeah, and first of all, I'll try to make this a little bit fun because email and automation is super boring. So that's what I say on my YouTube videos is this may be boring, but it will help, which is the key. So so how can we drive more sales? All right, maybe more sales, but it's going to be boring. All right, fine. Let's go with it.
Yeah, people don't mind boring as long as it ends up with more zeros in the bank account.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key there, right? So I have a very interesting story. And whenever I listen to a podcast, Roy, I don't like it when they go on for too long about their story because we just want to get to results. So I'll keep it quick. My wife and I had a fitness company in St. Petersburg, Florida, working one on one with people, helping them get in shape till we were in a really bad car accident. So I actually have 11 herniated discs in my back. My wife had seizures and concussion after. So I'm like, shoot, now what do I do? I can't be on my feet getting people in shape all day. So luckily, I had a great mentor that got my website number one on Google. And I didn't even realize it at the time. This is back in 2014, maybe, 2000, yeah, right around 2014. He had SMS automation set up on my website, ranking number one on Google. And I'm just this trainer guy wondering how I get so many people texting me all day. So I had other gyms, I had chiropractors, even just general business owners asking me, how the heck do you get so many leads and how are you able to keep your pipeline? I had clients all day long. I was hiring people. So, well, we're ranked number one on Google and I got this SMS automation thing on my phone, probably one of the first ones to do it from a website. So I'm like, that's what I do next. How can I help other people do that? So it started off with websites. And that's when I quickly realized that everything just stops at the website. I'm like, when I see someone face to face, they come into the gym, I'm able to shake your hand. So, Roy, if we met face to face at a coffee shop, we'll shake hands, we'll build an instant relationship with each other, we'll follow up, we'll follow each other on social media after. You might hire me, I might hire you, we'll refer people. We have that instant relationship. But when it came to online, everyone had a website, but nobody followed up or built a relationship after. So I'm like, man, there's something missing here. And that's when I just self reflected and said, hey, I'm following up with these people on SMS. I've got some email automations. This is the missing link. And that's when we created automation links.
Awesome. Well, and then so walk me through. So that's where you kind of got started your journey, and then at what
Yeah.
point did you realize that okay, we need a system, we need something that we can do that's repeatable, and what inspired the creation of that 6 step automated email sequence that you've told me about?
I try to be self aware in everything I do. When you build a website, don't make it about yourself, make it about your customers, right? So when I started really diving into the online world and I'm logging into MailChimp and I'm sending these email blasts, and I'm like, I don't want to get that email. I don't want to read that. Then all of a sudden, I got my spam folders filled. I've got all these other emails that all look the same from everybody else. I'm like, this isn't like, if I'm not going to read it, why am I sending it to my customers? Like, what's the point? And that's when I started realizing, all right, we can do something different with emails. We don't have to be like everybody else. How can we personalize these even more, make people want to read it, make it stick out to them, make it different, And most important, how can we use these emails to build relationships? And that's when I really started getting into it that, all right, we can do it different. So let's do it different. And one quick story is when I started my business, I started interviewing people for my podcast, just like you're interviewing me, Roy. And I didn't realize it until probably a year later. What I would do is I would interview them and then I would add them to an automated email sequence after. Email 1, thank you so much for the podcast yesterday. It was great meeting you. Email 2, let's follow each other on LinkedIn. Email 3, hey, by the way, did you know we do this? Email 4, let's schedule a call and talk about, working together. About a year later, I realized half of my podcast people I interviewed were becoming clients of mine. And that's when I'm like, and why? Because I'm actually following up with emails, just showing appreciation and giving some value after I interviewed them. When a lot of times I could have just interviewed them and never talked to them again. So that relationship, meeting face to face on our podcast, and then most importantly, reminding them of myself for a couple weeks to months to years later. That's when I realized, all right, we got something cool here.
Okay, so yeah, walk us through a little bit more the 6 steps.
Yep. So these are good ones. So the 6 are really important and they need to be sent out over a 2-week period. And these are really personal, short, simple emails. And I'm sure at the end or maybe in the description we can include my perfect email that just structures it. And I actually learned a lot of this from Neil Patel, one of the biggest marketers out there. It needs to be under 250 words. It needs to be about the customer and it needs to be short and to the point. So email 1 is basically just saying, hey, open this email. Here's the free resource you signed up for, and reply back and let me know if you received it. If you can get somebody to reply back to one of your first 3 emails, you'll stay in their inbox much longer. So if somebody doesn't reply back to those 3 emails and doesn't click, that's when you start going to those promo and spam folders. So those first 3 emails are the most important to stay in the inbox, which why are we sending emails anyways? So they open it. So if somebody's not opening it, then what's the point in even sending it over? So email 1, get them to respond back. Yes, I received it. Here's your free resource. Email 2, I think is the most important. Ask them to follow you on social media where you're the most active. So for me, I post weekly YouTube videos and free coaching. So my email 2 is, hey, follow me on YouTube. I'll subscribe back. It just gives you some extra resources. The reason why email 2 is so important is because now you're following up with them, building a relationship with them, not just on email, but also they're seeing your social media post. Now they're remembering you in 2 different places. And what that does is it starts building authority and showing that you're everywhere and you're the one providing value, which is really key. And then we can dive into the next couple. Next ones are stories, reviews, case studies, just showing relatability of other people that you've worked with.
And so in the initial stage, can you walk us through some of the things you found are important to make sure that you end up in their inbox in the first place?
Yep, that's a good question. So in the perfect email I coach and teach is that first couple emails, 0 images, no more than 3 links, and under 250 words. I think those are going to be your 3 most important. So Gmail, Yahoo, if anyone uses Yahoo anymore, Outlook, they're not looking at the front end of your email. They're actually looking at the HTML code of your email. So as soon as you add an image to your email, a link, what that does is it adds extra code, HTML code in the back end. So when they see this ugly, weird HTML code, when you're first emailing somebody, they're going to say this is probably a newsletter, this is probably spam. Most likely they think it's a promotion, some sort of promotion. So if you can go no image, no more than 3 links, and just make that email look super clean, plain text, just like you would send it to me from your Gmail account, they think that it's a personal one-to-one email. And since there's no HTML code in there, you're going to land in the inbox every time. And that's really important for those first 3 emails.
what would you say are some common misconceptions that you've heard people have when you've talked to clients or maybe even other marketers?
Yeah, I see this a lot. And I've been doing more of this where I take snapshots of bad emails and then I show how I correct them for my social media. So a lot of people think you need to put your whole message in the email. So let's say you want to tell them about all of your e-commerce products and how awesome they are. You think you need to make a super long, detailed email about that. Or let's say you want to tell them about, a free resource and you just give them a huge long link. Emails are meant to grab someone's attention and get them to click and go somewhere. So go to your website, go to your guide, go to your video, not necessarily expecting somebody to sit down and read it. Now, there's a few exceptions. If you sign up for someone's personal newsletter where they're sharing stories, I've seen those work really well. But if you're a type of e-commerce business or business, under 250 words will grab someone's attention, make it about them, personalize it, but the goal is to get them to click on something. So a lot of people think, yeah, we need to put the whole thing in there, when really your emails should just be a teaser to get them to go somewhere.
And then how do you personalize these sorts of campaigns?
So, depending on what type of business, if you're listening or watching this, if your e-commerce is going to be different than a service-based business versus an online coach type of business. So, you need to think about those first. So, if you're e-commerce, you really want to be thinking about abandoned cart, right? Giving them reviews of other people using those products. And what I like to do is I actually like to keep this pretty simple, Roy. So, this question I don't have too many details on because what I want to do is send these 6 emails over the series of the first 2 weeks. A lot of people, most people aren't going to become a customer the first day they hear about you, but they're more than likely to buy something from you in those first 2 weeks. And then what I do is I just add them to a monthly newsletter just to make sure they don't forget about us. If you are a service-based business, those first 6 emails should be trying to get them to schedule a call with you, watch your webinar, learn more about you, and then add them to the general newsletter list. But really, the most personalized that we do is just making sure their first name goes in there. So you address them by the first name, making sure your copywriting is on point. What are their pain points? What are stories that are relatable to them? Put those in your first 6 emails. Then you can generalize it more in your monthly newsletters after. So really not too much personalization after that besides, I have an email series for somebody that schedules a call with me. I have an email series for a new lead that comes to our website. Then I have an email series for any customers just to stay in touch.
And have you tested other approaches, or have you found that this one works, and you don't want to or you don't want to break something that isn't broken?
Yeah, exactly. I have actually currently 110 clients we work with month to month right now. So I have plenty of case studies. And in the past, and even still now, I have people come to me and say, "This is how I want my emails. You can even promise me more money, but I don't want to change it." But then when we go and show them the difference, we see that most companies average a 20 to 30% open rate with less than a 1% click. So what's the point of the emails? Again, right? Let's rewind. We want somebody to click and buy something or click and schedule, right? So when you're seeing a 20 to 30% open rate and less than a 1% click, your emails aren't working. So I see that quite often, even with my current clients that refuse to switch. Now, 95% of my clients do switch. And when I come back to them and say, hey, you got 50% open rate on this email, and 30% of those people actually clicked and took an action, that's when we see the difference. Now, if I come back and I do it my way and low clicks, low opens, it's not the problem with the email structure. It's a problem with the copywriting in the email. A lot of times when you write that email, it's about you. My business is
Mhm.
great. My business does this. My business gives you a good coupon code, blah, blah, blah. When it really needs to be about, hey, I know you're struggling with this. Here's a resource that can help you. So that will instantly increase open and click through rates as soon as you work on your copywriting. Make it about your customer in those emails.
And how important for something like this, how important do you think the copy is, or what are the things that need to be focused on? Because in a lot of ways, this sounds like if you've got the framework right, it's kind of hard to mess it up. But copywriting wise, what do they need to make sure that they don't mess up?
That's a good question. It's all about the first 1 to 2 sentences. So when you see the perfect email, it's really 1 to 2 sentences, 3 bullet points, and then a call to action. Now, those first 1 to 2 sentences, hey, Roy, I wanted to send you this guide because I think it's awesome. You don't care about that. But if I say, hey, Roy, we were recently working with a company just like yours that were able to increase sales by 30%. Check out what we did. So what I did was I used another case study or another client I worked with, and I made that relatable to you and your business. Or if you're an e-commerce business, hey, Roy, recently we had, John who purchased this product and he left this review below. He loves it. Have you checked it out yet? So those first 1 to 2 sentences will catch your attention, make it relatable to the person reading it, and then that will get them to the next step.
One thing I've found, and I wonder if you've seen this to be the case as well, there's something really interesting about when you send out these emails with a little bit of personalization, when you don't have a bunch of HTML and images and links. I think people in their minds, really more often than you would think, they think that it's not an automated email. And even the people who do, I know personally for me, I'll get emails and I know they're automated, but the fact that it comes from somebody with somebody's name on it, it makes me feel like I'm more likely to answer it.
Oh, 100%. But here's a big mistake that you could also make. If you send that personal style email and you forget to align it left, now you have a personal style email that's centered that looks like a newsletter anyways. So don't ever forget to align that text left, make it look like that personal. And that's the key. You're right. If it looks personal, it looks like you sent it 1 to 1 to me, that's where we're getting those increases for sure. Of course, they're going to see the unsubscribe link down below, but they won't see that till after they see that personal looking style email. One other tip that I see a lot of people mistake, if you have a Google account or an Outlook account, put your profile picture in there because that will actually show up when you send those emails. It'll say my picture in the top left, Brad-automation links. If you just have no picture and you just have the B there, right, for your first initial, and it says automation links, they probably have no idea who that is. So what I like to do is make sure my picture's there, my name and my company name is there, so they remember. They'll remember one of those, right?
Yeah. And so go through the emails one more time and highlight the call to action, the goal, what people want to happen with each email.
All right. Email, and just I guess a quick overview is we want to build a relationship through these 6 emails. We want to make sure they don't forget about you because they might be price shopping your competitors and you might be the only one actually following up with them. And we also need to understand they might not buy today. They probably won't buy next week, but they could buy in a month from now. Or I have clients that sign up a year from now. So it's a way for you to just keep reminding them of you and your business. Email 1, what you really want to do is get them to reply. So here's a real simple one. Hey, Roy, making sure this is the best email for you. I know it's the best email for you because you've literally just opted in on my website, but I'm just making sure. If you reply back yes, I will stay in your inbox for a long time. Email 2, ask them to follow you on social media. That way you're building trust, you're building authority. They might not read your email tomorrow, but they'll see your social media post tomorrow, or vice versa. Even better if they see both, right? Email 3, provide a resource, something that could be helpful to them. I always include a checklist because a checklist is a low barrier. They don't have to read a lot, just a simple checklist. Email 3 should be showing that you're the one providing value. You're not selling them anything. You're not going to tell them about your business. You're going to tell them how awesome you are. Not even going to give them a coupon code. You're going to give them something of value. So they start perceiving you as the authority now and as the helpful person, the teacher, the educator in that industry. Email 4 needs to be a relatable story. So that first 1 to 2 sentences, I just worked with somebody. Here's their review. Email 5 is another relatable story with a case study. I think that's really important. And then email 6 is a relatable story with a call to action. Email 6 is your best offer. Hey, I just worked with John. He saw awesome results. Are you ready to sign up? Hey, I just worked with John. He
And
he
at
loves
that
our
point, are
product. Here's the
you,
coupon code.
um, if they go through that and don't do anything, do you just take them off your list, or do you throw them into a less frequently mailed list, or have some extended follow up? How do you handle that?
Yeah, just like I mentioned, I've had people become customers years after they first joined my list. I always add them to a monthly newsletter list.
Hmm.
That way they never forget. I actually had a real estate agent reach out to me. I need your help. I sold a house to somebody 3 years ago and they just went and bought a house from someone else. And when I asked them why, they said, "Oh, I totally forgot." That sucks, right? That sucks. But if you would have emailed them once a month for the last 3 years, they wouldn't have forgot about them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They were following them on social media. They wouldn't have forgot. So if you email me once a month and I see your social media posts, I won't forget about you. So when I am ready to sign up and buy, I'm clicking that email and replying back.
Do you have any tips for people to make that newsletter the kind of thing that people will want to see and not unsubscribe from?
The newsletter part, the monthly newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to think of yourself as, and this is really helpful for me, I think of myself as the educator, the teacher in my industry. So as long as you're providing some sort of value in those newsletters, this is something I learned. This is a guide I made. This is a
Mhm.
resource I did. I'm just sharing it with you. So as long as people know you're sending them emails to give them value, and give them free tips and help them, and not sell them anything, that's when they'll stay at a subscriber. Once I start getting monthly newsletters about a sale, like I
Right.
don't care. Like I don't care about a sale or about how awesome you are. Like you've already told me how awesome you are 20 times. You don't have to tell me again. So, but when somebody's seeing that you're providing value every month, that's when they'll stick with you.
One other thing I've had luck with is a few different times I've used a newsletter. In fact, a lead post right now, it's just focused on, for the most part, just kind of industry important updates, news, tips from around the web. So it's not even
Yeah.
um, really overtly promotional at all, but they know that they're going to get that value as far as like some educational links from around the web that maybe they wouldn't have seen otherwise. And then when I need to, I can throw something in there at the bottom and kind of advertise on our own content, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And just remember when if you don't mind, when you do send those, you're not trying to give them all of those resources through the email. You're playing hard to get, right? Just like if you're going on your first date, you play hard to get in those emails to get them to click the link to go to your website to increase your website traffic. So the email isn't to give them all the info; it's to give them a sneak peek if what they'll actually learn if they click those links. Because when they see a long email with all those resources, it just seems overwhelming because 80% will be on their phone in their car at a red light anyways. So it's going to look
Yeah, I
overwhelming to
think
them.
short, really, in just about any email, there's very few that I can think of that you would want to be long.
Yeah,
In fact, honestly, even if my mom emailed me, I'd rather her keep it short and we can talk about it later. Um,
exactly.
well, that's great. That's really informative, and we'll share some of your resources on the website. Can you tell people where they can find out more about you and learn some more about this method?
Yeah, our website, automationlinks.com, will have the first button is how to automate your marketing, where I give you the perfect email so you can actually see how we structure it. So if you're just listening, you can actually see it written out with a video just showing you the guide. And then my YouTube channel, Brad Smith Coaching, I break down how to actually set these tutorials on how to make these automations and how to write the emails.
Awesome. And we'll put links to that on the website too, so they can get there. Well, thank
Cool.
you very much, Brad. That was awesome. I hope you can come. I hope you can come again sometime.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, Roy. It's been great. Thanks for letting me share that